Success, prosperity, happiness. It all comes down to one thing: focus. It's time for you to take your business and your life to the next level with Focus 180 Coaching. With our proven 99-day performance accelerator program, we'll get you focused on your real priorities fast and thriving beyond imagination. Turn your business in the direction of success. Start today by texting the word prosperity to 26786. Decide to be great.
Well, it looks like we have some kind of sound issue, so hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. So let me introduce our next speakers. Our next speaker is Shawn Johnson. She speaks about strategy for generational inclusion, and today she will be speaking about how to sell to every single age group. That's very, very important. You will learn about what each generation is buying, how they prefer to do business, and the best way to communicate with all of them. She will share solutions you can start using in your own business tomorrow, as well as long-term strategies to grow your business across generation, expanding your customer base. Shawn, I'm so happy that you're here. Let's do this. I'm gonna come back like 20 minutes, and yeah. Because right now, okay, there you are. I was hoping you appear on the screen. Very good. I'm out. I'll talk to you in 20. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Denny. I'm so excited to be here. We've had such great speakers at this summit, so I feel privileged to be a part of the group. We all talk about diversity sometimes, and I talk about how important diversity, especially generational diversity. But today I'm going to talk about how to grow your business by growing your customer base. I have years of sales and marketing experience, and I understand that we all want to grow our business. We want to grow our customer base. We want to be more successful and reach more people. So let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. All right, we want to grow our customer base because that grows our profits and prepares us for future growth in our business. But we all know that one size fits all, that strategy does not work. So let's talk about some ways that we can grow our. Most of us are doing business with 2 or maybe 3 generations. This is what the experts tell us that research this. I like to do business with people that are like us, that look like us, that think like us, that share the same problems, the same life stage, that think the same things we think are cool, they think are cool. That's just natural. That's just human nature. But think about expanding that from 2 to 3 age groups or generations to all 5. Because here's the stats. All 5 generations, every generation is buying and doing business in these categories and so much more. Think about it. Every generation buys cars. Every generation buys financial services and communication services. Every generation eats out and buys groceries or has food delivered to their home. So in order to grow our customer base, we want to understand how we can do business with every generation. Now, there are a few outliers. That's true. There's a few niche businesses that this doesn't work. But I think as we go forward, if you'll think about your business, there's probably areas where you could grow your base. I was very fortunate, and some of you were probably just as fortunate. I grew up on a 4-generation farming business. And my grandma Midge, who's pictured here, lived right next door to me, which was great for me. Now, why this is important is that my grandma Midge knew how to sell to every generation. She was basically a school teacher, and she taught at a little country school. But the minute school was out, she was in her car and driving door to door, farm to farm, selling. And she knew how to sell, once again, to every age group. She loved to sell vitamins. She was a Shaklee representative, and she understood that vitamins were important for everyone, especially vitamin C. They were important for the children in the home, the parents, the grandparents. She would do all her research, and she would talk to people about why they should take this vitamin or that vitamin. And I was lucky enough that I got to watch all this. If her car was leaving our farm and she was going out to sell, I got in that car every possible chance I could get. So I learned at a young age that you can build relationships with every age group, regardless of how old you are. And that's what I want to help all of you with today, because all 5 generations are working and doing business together. And this is a first. In the past, we had 3 or 4 generations working and doing business together because people weren't living as long. But now people are living longer, which is an awesome thing. We have the traditionalist generation, 75 years and older. They're still working, some of them. They're adding value to younger workers. Then we have the baby boomers. The baby boomers is the biggest generation as far as income, as far as expenditures go. And they are very actively pursuing every type of business opportunity. We have Gen X. Gen X are in their prime earning years, 40 to 55 years old, and they're working and doing business. Millennials, believe it or not, for some of us who are older, we still think of them as like young kids. The oldest millennials are turning 40, and they are working, they're having families, they're doing all those things where they need good sources for services and products. And last of all, we have Gen Z. And the biggest mistake that we can make with Gen Z is sometimes we're tempted to just treat them the same way we do millennials, and that doesn't work. And we'll talk about why. Here's a little chart of what the purchasing power is of each generation. Now, I have to say that I think the numbers on this chart are really good, except for maybe Gen Z might be a little low, according to some sources. But this business to community source has really good numbers. I want you to think about your business of where you might be missing opportunities. Well, one thing we know for sure is that surveys and research show that consumers, their number one concern is their business experience, the experience of doing business with you, with your company. Now, we all know that. We all want to have a good experience when we do business with other people. But where things get a little tricky is that everyone defines what a good experience is in a different way. Now, why do they do that? Well, they do that because our expectations of what a good experience is are very much influenced by our formative years, how we grew up, how our parents did things, the economic times we grew up in. Those all influence how we want to do business today. And let me also mention technology in there. Technology is a huge factor of how we want to do business today. So we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to look at each generation, why they have the expectations they do, and how we can give them a better business experience. So let's get started. We're going to start with traditionalists. Now, remember, these are the 75 plus age group. And I want to add right here that not everyone identifies with their generation, but they do usually identify with the life stage or the age group for sure. Now, traditionalists grew up with Depression era parents. So they learned at a young age, waste not, want not, be cautious, save, reuse things, don't just throw everything away. I remember my grandma that I talked about earlier, Midge, she grew up during the Great Depression, and if toilet paper went on sale, she bought tons of it. She had a huge walk-in closet full of toilet paper. Well, some of that mentality, of course, did rub off on her daughter, my aunt, who is a traditionalist. So traditionalists are very influenced by that parenting style, that Great Depression era parenting. The other thing is they grew up trusting institutions. So when you do business with them, they want to feel that you're trustworthy. They're also very frugal, very practical, which is why they're retired now, most of them, with what they need, with adequate means, because they've been good financial managers. When you're doing business with them, keep that in mind, that they are going to look very carefully at their buying decisions. Well, what are they doing today? What are they doing? Well, they're doing business across the board. But remember that they grew up with rotary dial phones, long distance charges. They used to order things through catalogs through the mail. So they're going to be more patient than younger generations when you're doing business, but they're also going to expect you to accommodate the ways that they like to do business. Perhaps they want to write a check. Perhaps they don't want to use their credit card. Perhaps they want to meet face-to-face instead of doing things online. These are all preferences of this generation. We want to accommodate those preferences as business owners. One thing to remember with this generation And it's such an easy thing, but it takes some effort, is they love to get a thank you note. So write them a thank you note. If you're doing business with them, especially on an ongoing basis, just jot down a little note and pop it in the mail. Well, moving on, we're going to go to the baby boomers next. They are the original screen addicts, the baby boomers. Most baby boomers, even the older ones, grew up with a television in their home. By about 1960, almost every home in the United States had a television. What was important about this is it was also the golden age of Madison Avenue. How many of you watched Mad Men when it was on TV? If you want to share that in the chat, jump in. It was the golden age of Madison Avenue. From 1950 to 1959, the amount of money spent on advertising doubled in the United States. Well, what does that mean for boomers? Well, they're growing up with the TV on quite a bit, sometimes all day, and they're hearing all these jingles and these ads and all these things you need to have. You got to have this, you got to have that, you got to have the right clothes, drink the right beverages, wear the right cosmetics, the right cologne, the right perfume. And so they became very consumerism minded and still are today. Boomers like to buy stuff. That's just a fact, personal experience. They like to buy things. So keep that in mind. They also respond to television advertising because they do watch more TV in real time, they and traditionalists do, than any other generation. Well, let's talk about what boomers are doing today and how you can reach them. Well, they like products that help them feel younger and look younger. They want to be on the cutting edge. Remember, baby boomers grew up at a time when classrooms were crowded. It was a big generation and there was lots of competition. Well, that competitiveness has stayed with them. So they like to be competitive. They like doing business and think of it as kind of a social event. So if you're talking to them on the phone or they're in your place of business, they may be very chatty, and that's very typical for this generation. Not all of them, but a good number of them. They're empty nesters, and they have more disposable income than any other generation. So think about where your business is in doing business with baby boomers today. If any of you can identify with this generation, go ahead and share it in the chat. Gen X. Gen X is a smaller generation following the baby boomers. Sometimes don't get the attention maybe they deserve. Things were changing when they were growing up. The divorce rate was higher. Women were working more. Whereas the boomers had mom at home, Gen X oftentimes came home to an empty house. They had their own key. They were latchkey kids, which made them very efficient, very independent. They're a little skeptical compared to boomers. They're not as prone to want that social experience because they had to figure everything out for themselves, oftentimes because their parents were at work or doing other things. Well, where are they today? Gen X today are in the prime of their career. And they're balancing. They're big into work-life balance. They always have been, but even more so today because many of them still have children at home or kids in college. They have aging parents. And of course, COVID has been very stressful for Gen X and for younger parents overall. So provide them with services and products that make their life easy. Make it easy for them to buy them, easy for them to communicate with you. The ease of doing business is very important for Gen X. Millennials, or Gen Y, same group, they grew up with those helicopter parents. You've all heard the term. They were made to feel special. They got participation trophies. Well, guess what? They still want to feel special. They also grew up with smartphones, especially your younger millennials, younger Gen Y, grew up with iPhones, and they know they can do everything from their phone. So don't be surprised when they want to buy and sell and do things online just with their phone. Make sure all of your information is user-friendly for someone using a cell phone. The other thing about them is that they love Facebook. They came of age during social media and the social media boom. So they like to interact. And if you don't have a presence on Facebook and other social media, you may miss out on this generation. Allow them a format too to dialogue with you online because they really enjoy that. Well, millennials today are in management positions, many of them. They're making money. They're buying homes. They're raising children. You may not have seen this happen as early with this generation, and the reason is that many of them graduated with a lot of college debt. That's been a real problem for millennials and Gen Y, is graduating with all that debt. But the older millennials are paying off the debt, they're finished with it, and they're ready to spend more money on investing, on homes, on cars, on raising children. So keep them in mind if you're in any type of products or services that would be helpful to them. Gen Z. Well, I said in the beginning, don't confuse Gen Z with millennials because they're very, very different. Now, they are tech dependent. They understand technology. They live for technology. They don't even understand doing business without technology. However, they love doing things face to face. Isn't that interesting? They were raised by parents that tended to be Gen X. So they're a little more practical than millennials, a little more pragmatic, a little more cautious. They definitely expect to have value for the money they spend, which has hurt some retailers. Take, for example, Forever 21, a trendy store with inexpensive clothes that millennials just loved. My daughter's a millennial. She loved that store. Well, Gen Z wasn't as fond of that store. They wanted better value for their money. They didn't want all those cheap things. And that has hurt Forever 21. In fact, I believe they've gone out of business. Keep that in mind. They love to thrift shop, but they're going to expect some value for the money. Well, another thing they love to do is they love influencers, but they like influence everyday people. They love to share good ideas, good products they've found, good services, good experiences, and they'll make a video. So if they have a good experience, what they consider to be a good experience doing business with you, they will make a video and share it with all their friends. Well, trends that I want to discuss with everyone today because I think they're really important. And the first trend is called brick and mortar. And what it means, brick and mobile, I'm sorry. Mobile means that everyone's researching stuff on their phone, most generations, but yet they still come into the place of business to do business. Research shows that over 60% of consumers, even post-COVID or even during COVID, would really like to do business at the place of business if possible. But they're definitely going to research on their phones, and they may do it standing in your place of business. They also want a sense of shared purpose. They want to make sure that your company has a purpose, your business has a purpose outside of making money. Are you doing something for the community? Are you giving to this cause or that? That's very much the focus, especially for younger generations. They want to do business with some transparency. I remember back in the day when I was selling home goods and things like that, we would do a high-low. We would talk to retailers about, price it at 20 and then say that you're selling it at 10 and it's a high-low pricing. Well, the item they were selling really was probably only worth 10. Younger generations especially don't appreciate that. They want to know that they're paying a fair price for what they're getting. Well, every customer wants good customer service, right? Don't we all? We all want good customer service. We all want easy brand interactions, transparent promotions, payment options, and security. And especially the payment options are so important. You might have people who want to write you a check, and you might have customers that want to send you money on Zelle or Venmo. So provide them those opportunities and make it easy. Reaching your potential customers, that's what it's all about. Make it easy for them. Every generation uses Facebook on some level. Direct mail still works, can you believe it? But make it really easy to scan and read. Be flexible. Adapt to your customers' expectations. Ask them what those are. And use many avenues of communication. Well, another thing you can do is stay up to date on generational trends. And you can do that by signing up right here for my once a month news. I only send it once a month to your email box. And it's packed with what's new in generational trends that might help you, hopefully will help you with your business. And when you sign up today, you'll get a free copy of this PDF, a free PDF copy of this slideshow. There's my contact information. Reach out to me if you have any questions or would like to discuss strategies. I'm always happy to talk with people and hear your story. And that's it for me. Strategies for generational inclusion, growing your customer base, doing business with every generation.
Very cool, my dear. Very, very beautiful as always. Thank you very much. Hey, listen, let's see. Can we see that link on the chat? I want to make sure it works for Shawn. Just my tech is going to put it right there. Tell me again. So you got 2 or 3 gifts, right? You got the chart that I think is very good. You want to talk a few seconds about it, and the newsletter for sure.
Yeah, the newsletter you get once a month. It's short and sweet. Updated information, and then the chart gives you all the generations and kind of how they look at doing business, what their preferences are. So, and if you like the slideshow when you sign up, you'll get a copy of that.
Awesome. And can anybody click on that link to make sure it works for me, and type yes, it's working. That would be okay. It's working. Thank you, Christina. That's awesome. I gotta go get ready for the next one. VIP gift. What did you give again? One more time.
The free gift for VIPs?
Yeah, did you? You did, right?
Yeah, it's Bridging the Communication Gap. It's an ebook, gives practical solutions for bridging the communication gap between generations.
Awesome. Get that book, people. Get that book. Go VIP. I got to go get ready. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate what you do one more time, and we'll chat later.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Jim Root is coming in, a sales expert. You might not want to miss that. See you later.